Hello again, welcome back everybody. Brendan here, aka Cliff Jumper, and we are turning our attention back to the long neglected Fiat. So yeah, I will walk you through what we're going to do here in just a minute. We will get into it, so tune in. So yes indeed, it is the 3rd of July, which means it's the annual Can I Get the Fiat Working in Time to Drive It in the 4th of July parade, which is tomorrow contest, because it's always a thing. The car runs reliably once or twice a year, and hopefully this will be the once or twice. Let me let you know what's been going on with it. So a couple years ago, I had to rebuild the drive shaft. I've replaced a lot of the fuel system stuff. We converted from the mechanical fuel pump to the electric fuel pump in here. And you can see the fuel filter I installed has gotten pretty yellow and gross with time here. But one of the problems we ran into is when I converted to the electric fuel filter, it was providing too much fuel pressure for the carburetor. Apparently, these carburetors like to run with about 3 psi, and that's it, no more, no less. So what we are going to do today to make sure that she runs reliably and well is install a fuel pressure regulator that will limit it to 3 psi. I've also tucked on a fuel pressure meter in line so that we can monitor that it's actually 3 psi between the adjustment on the fuel pressure regulator and that. We should be good. And I'm putting on a new fuel filter. So we're going to tuck those in and then see if we can get her to cough to life. Here's the other issue. She's 50 years old as of this year. This carburetor is the original 50-year-old carburetor, and it's got 50 years of gunk in it. Now, granted, she does not have a lot of miles. As a matter of fact, she's got 24,000 miles. She was literally the Sunday car for a long, long time. So in the past decade or two, I'll say 2, we put on an average of about 100 miles a year on this car. She is in desperate need of a full makeover. There's rust that has sprouted up all over the place that I'm gonna have to grind and deal with. I've got some new suspension components that we're gonna put on, and we wanna just, lovingly keep her on the road in honor of my dad. If you don't know the story about my dad, he was a 2-star admiral in the Navy, served for 29 years of active duty. He was killed in the line of duty in active duty service. His F-18 went down on a training mission in 1995. I was 21 at the time, and this was his car. This was his baby. He left it to me. I am the caretaker, and I drive it in like 4th of July and Veterans Day parades in his honor and his memory. So I kind of want to keep this alive and going. So I'm just going to throw this out there. If you are a body person in the San Diego area and you feel like donating some effort towards a good cause and making this car beautiful and purty-licious for parade duty again, I'm pretty bad at body work. I'm just going to admit it. I have done some. I'm a learner. I am not an expert. There are many things that I'm good at. That is not one of them. So body and paint, I will do myself if I have to, but boy, I would really love somebody to come alongside me and partner on this. So if that's you, reach out, let me know. Otherwise, let's get into this and change some stuff and see if she will sputter to life for one more parade. Here is the adjustable fuel pressure regulator. The adjustable fuel pressure regulator. These are made specifically for carbureted vehicles to help them with this problem. So it's adjustable by 1, 2, 3, or 4 psi or half increments. So I've got it set to 3, and we'll be able to look here in the gauge and see if that's actually true as it comes through. The new fuel filter will slide onto here, and that will all fit in there. So I can see we're going to run into our first challenge right here. The old original hoses, which are pretty nasty and hard, probably need to be replaced, are smaller diameter than this new assembly that I've created. So we're going to need to do some monkey work to make this work. I think I have some adapters, and we're going to go ahead and cut that because that's just kind of perished at the end, but I think we can go deeper in on the hose and it'll be all right. This one seems to be in decent condition. It's just too small. Yeah, this is fairly fresh hose. All right, we'll come back on this. If this fuel filter is our example of the condition that the fuel is in the vehicle, yeah, I'm probably gonna need to get rid of all the fuel that's already in there and get some fresh stuff, because just look at that. You can see the line of demarcation where it was settling and just the nastiness that was in there. So that's all basically the gas has turned to varnish. I suspect I've got a tank full of that in there. So I have put fuel stabilizer in it previously, so maybe this is just the stuff that was hanging out in the filter up there and whatever, more exposed, but I don't know. I think it looks pretty bad, so I might need to flush that all out. So I am guessing that the fuel, based on what I saw in the old filter, is probably varnish. I am gonna go ahead and turn it over and see what will happen. We're gonna spray some starter fluid down there to help it out, and let's just give it a whirl. I mean, the worst comes to worst, I'm gonna have to empty the tank anyway and start all over, but let's see what she does. See, set the choke and out of gear. There's the fuel pump. That's the starter fluid making its way through. Let me see what's going on with the fuel pump, just see what color fuel we have happening here. Okay, so we've got leaks. We're gonna deal with that first and foremost. And yeah, that looks nasty, so we're probably gonna need to flush this gas.
5 minutes later.
I got the leaks tidied up here. And looking at the fuel pressure gauge, we are spot on at 3 psi, exactly where we want to be. That fuel looks really nasty. I'm gonna try running it through just to see. And I might unhook it and just run the pump and pump out some of the stuff to see if the stuff that's backed up in the lines is nasty. As a matter of fact, yeah, I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna unhook this. I'll unhook it from here and just spray it out and into a container and get rid of this nasty stuff so I'm not pumping it into the carburetor. And then after, I'll see if it runs clear. If it does, then we'll give it another try. If it doesn't, if it's just nasty all the way through, then I'm gonna dump the tank and we'll start over with a fresh source, because that's probably a major issue.
5 minutes later.
All right, I have hooked up a hose to go to an empty container. We're gonna drain out fuel and I'm gonna let it run for a little bit and see if we end up getting anything clear. It might just be rust from the fuel lines under the car. I don't know. So anyway, I'm gonna turn that on, let the fuel pump run, and just gonna kind of keep an eye on this end. See, that's nasty. So we'll just watch that for a little bit and see if it starts to come out clear, which would be a better sign that we might be able to use some of the fuel in here. Otherwise, I'm going to end up having to drain the entire tank and go get new fuel and start over. So far, it's all got that orangey tinge. Very, very varnishy looking. And let that run a little bit more. As you can see, I had very nicely left nearly a full tank. So if it's all bad, that's a lot of fuel that we're gonna have to drain. Well, that's looking a lot better. So I think I feel better about giving it a try now, just to see. And if it doesn't work, we'll just drain the tank and start over with fresh gas, because that would definitely be an issue if it doesn't start and run under its own power. Obviously, I use starter fluid to get it primed and going, but once everything is flowing, she should be able to take over on her own. So let's see. Okay, the fuel looks a lot clearer, which is good, but it's still not starting. So I think it is time to drain the tank and start fresh. So this is a 8-gallon tank, I think, maybe a 6-gallon. It doesn't take a whole lot, so shouldn't take too long to drain the whole thing. Let's see how it goes.
2 hours later.
10 gallons. We now have an empty tank, and with the last of sunlight waning in the sky, I'm gonna go get some fuel and let's see if she'll fire up. So fingers crossed, and knock on carbon fiber. I don't have any near me, so I will knock on really old Italian steel, and let's go for it.
20 minutes later.
All right, a little Fiat update here. We drained the tank completely. I flushed the lines out as well to get any residual stuff that was in them out. Put 5 gallons of fresh gas in, and...
Oh no, everything's fine.
But the animal is inside out.
She'll start and run as long as I'm spraying starter fluid into the carburetor directly, and that's it. So, not the fuel, not the spark, not the compression, because it will start with starter fluid. And when I say not the fuel, I mean not the fuel supply. Fuel obviously is not atomizing in the carburetor, so I think that 50-year-old carburetor is just kaput. It's been on its way out for a long time. I do have a new old stock carburetor that I got from someone that it looks perfect. So unfortunately tonight I don't have enough time to tear into it in the dark and throw that on in time to drive the car in the parade tomorrow. So this will be another non-Fiat parade year. But I'm inspired now that we're into it. I'm inspired to finish this out. So I'm going to return to this project and continue with the carburetor, and let's bring some life into her. To be continued. Like, subscribe, share, all that good stuff if this is even mildly entertaining to you. And the Fiat project will continue, and we've got a lot of other stuff coming down the pipeline, of course, with Corrado and R32 and 1.8T Jetta and more Sequoia stuff. It never ends. Never. So keep watching. Thanks. Bye.
And on that terrible disappointment, it's time to say goodbye. We'll be back.